Hello everyone. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment saying where you're from and when you watched. That way, YouTube will continue to show you stories like this. Now, let's get started. I am Alex, 32 years old, living alone in a small rented room on the 3rd floor of an old apartment building. I work as a freelance photographer, mainly at night. The city at midnight always has special frames, a cold and quiet beauty that cannot be found during the day. I often wander until dawn, sometimes getting lost in alleys that I have never known. I like the feeling of entering a parallel world where time slows down and everything becomes blurry. That night was unusually dark. There was no moon or stars, and a thick fog like a white smoke covered the whole neighborhood. I was walking towards Bindong Wharf, where there were old alleys to take some photos, when suddenly I saw something strange. A very large wooden gate was erected in the middle of the path, which was an empty lot that I had passed many times. The gate was nearly 3 meters high, with red lanterns hanging on both sides, not lit. On the body of the gate were engraved with strange ancient symbols like ancient writing. I had never seen anything so strange. So I took out my phone to take a picture, but the screen only showed black, as if something was preventing my device from working while I was still observing. The clock on my hand struck exactly 1 a.m. A creaking sound rang out, and the gate opened automatically on the other side. It was a strange space unlike any market I had ever known. The stalls were made of red painted wood. The yellow lights shone on the wet brick floor as if it had just been through a rainstorm, even though it was completely dry outside. There were people walking between the stalls, but everyone was silent. No one said a word. I stood there, my heart pounding, my eyes scanning each face, expressionless and blank. An old woman selling charms was bending her head to sew each red thread. An old man with hair as white as frost displayed watches without hands. A man in a black cloak sat in the middle of the stall, selling only one broken mirror. I quietly walked inside as if hypnotized. The cold air had no wind, but made me shiver with every step. My footsteps echoed strangely, even though the ground was neither hard nor hollow. Suddenly, I stopped in front of a masked stall, all of them with twisted smiles and empty eyes. The stall owner was a woman of unknown age who sat silently pointing at a silver-grey mask without saying anything. I shook my head in refusal, but she just stared at me without blinking. I stepped back, intending to turn around and leave this place, but when I turned around, I could no longer see the gate. There were only stalls following each other with no way out. I tried to find another way, but the further I walked, the deeper I got lost inside. A faint sound rang out, like a small bell ringing softly in the middle of the night, then it stopped. I turned my head and saw behind me a long line of people, all wearing white mourning clothes with expressionless faces, waiting to buy something from a stall with a picture of a dead person hanging above it. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped. My throat, everything around me seemed to have lost all the air. I started to panic, heart beating fast, sweat pouring out like a shower. Then I saw something that almost made me collapse. In the mirror of the vendor at the beginning of the market, I saw myself. But it was not like the current me. That face was older. Deep eyes and grey skin, like one of the people standing around. I turned around in surprise and saw a sign hanging in the air, with shaky writing like someone hastily carved with a fingernail. Welcome to the night market that only opens at 1 a.m. Didn't know if this was real or a dream, but the feeling of coldness and fear was real. My skin got goosebumps. I walked quickly towards the light at the end of the market, where the sound was like lullaby music, but the closer I got, the clearer it was that the sound was a soft wail, like from hundreds of imprisoned souls I didn't dare to look back. I just ran like crazy in the maze of stalls where there was no exit, no human voices, no life, only darkness and gloomy eyes following every step. When I stopped to catch my breath and looked up, once again I was standing right in front of the original wooden gate. The gate was still open, but outside was no longer the city, but a pitch black abyss. I knew I had stepped into a place I shouldn't have, and something even more terrifying was waiting ahead. Watch episode 2 to find out where I really stepped into and what was waiting for me at the end of the night market that only opens at 1 a.m.